there, and welcome to Season 21 of ECCB Connects. ECCB Connects is a production of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank designed to share with you who we are, what we do, and how we serve you. To kick off Season 21, we speak with Director of Finance at Chamberlain University at Telem Global Education, Adélé Stowe, about some of the strategies you can employ as an individual or business owner to help you achieve your financial goals this year. Stay connected with us. We'll share more with you after this break.
When the ECCB took the bold step to introduce Dcash, the people of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union were at the heart of this decision.
It's about creating opportunities.
It's about connecting family.
It's about linking friends.
It's about changing the way we do business.
It's about transforming lives.
A journey to a place where none have gone before will not be without its challenges.
But challenges will not deter us from our goal. It's about me.
It's about you.
It's about all of us.
So join us and let's make history together.
Adélé, welcome to ECCB Connects.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we're at the start of a new year, and we know often people talk about New Year's resolutions, making plans for how they want to make this new year brighter and more dynamic for them. But in terms of achieving financial goals, what are some of the steps that a business owner, an individual would need to take to make sure that they achieve financial success throughout the year?
A key part of achieving your financial successes, whether you are an individual trying to be more responsible with your financial accomplishments, or you're a small independent enterprise, or if you are a part of a larger global enterprise, budgeting is a key part of the process, a key step. A budget, typically, if you're summarizing it, is just a summarized representation, usually in fiscal terms, of your revenue, expense, and income targets for the year, or profitability targets for the year. A budget is usually guided by a process, right? You want to think about a few key steps in that process to ensure that you are planning thoroughly, that you're planning thoughtfully, that you are planning in alignment with what you actually want to accomplish. A few key steps that we would take if we're thinking through our planning process. Number one would be, what are the goals that you want to accomplish, right? Personal goals, what are the goals of your organization? And then how do those goals align with your long-term plan? And that's important if you're planning for a particular period or shorter term, like a fiscal period, maybe a quarter, maybe a half a year, over a couple months. If you're talking about a personal financial goal, is that in alignment with what you want to accomplish in the longer term? Because what you don't want to do is set a short-term goal that may derail you from something that you want to accomplish in the longer term, correct? So in the context of an organization, a budget is usually in alignment with your strategic plan, right? And you are looking at what you need to accomplish for that fiscal period to drive you closer to a strategic outlook, which is typically an outlook of a 3 to 5 year period for your standard mid to large size organization. After you understand what you want to accomplish, what your goals are, what your outcomes need to be, then you need to define what the activities are that you need to, or strategies that you need to employ in that period that you're planning for to accomplish those goals. Okay. Exactly. Okay. So you're a planning expert already. And so when you're thinking about my goals, you think about, okay, what steps how does this align with my long-term plan or my strategies, and then what steps or activities do I need to take, right, to make this happen?
So it starts with almost a vision of what is it that I want as an individual, as a business, what it is that I want to do or see happening, and then you align those activities to drive you.
Absolutely.
To that point.
Absolutely. So you want to understand if some of the things that you're currently doing within your business or within your personal life conflict with the steps that you need to take in that current period to achieve the goals guided by your budget. If you are running a grocery store and you have a customer base, but you want to broaden your reach to either another region, all right, broaden your awareness, you need to evaluate what your current marketing plan is, for example, as a discrete cost, and what your marketing plan needs to be to accomplish your goals. Do you market to only a specific demographic, and does that actually take away an attraction for the broader base that you want to attract? So those are, and then this is just one example, but that can be applied across the board.
And likewise, I'm sure it applies for an individual. You have to look at, what am I doing? Is this actually adding to what I want to ultimately achieve?
Yeah, because the worst thing you could do is put this fancy plan together, and then what your status quo is, you've not evaluated it to see if you can make shifts, or if you need to make shifts, and if you need to adjust, right? And the next step, which is not necessarily the ultimate step in the budgeting view, but it's definitely a critical step in setting the budget, is to translate all of those activities into the resources that you actually need to be able to go accomplish your goals. And that's where the putting things on a page, what are my sales goals or revenue goals or savings goals if you're a person, what are my expenses that will drive my business, or what my expenses need to be in order to drive my higher savings if I'm a person, and then what ultimately is my my bottom line going to be, what does it align with what that first step is setting my goals. If I want to grow my business by X%, what resources do I need to be able to accomplish that? What top line revenue do I need to drive to accomplish that? And then I need to go out, translate that to my budget, which is that fiscal summary for that period of time. And then we get to a step where we need to go execute on the budget.
So we have now outlined the goals. We've outlined identified the activities that we need to drive those goals. And we have this plan set out on paper. Everything is going swimmingly fine, but then an unexpected event happens. What happens to the budget at that point, the plan that you've put in place?
This sounds like every day in running a business, right? So your budget is as good as the day you set it, right? So you have to understand the contingencies that you need if your plan doesn't go as you have assumed when you were setting your budget. Existing in an environment of limited resources, especially in this inflationary environment, has made that a challenge, right? People have found that they need to be more strict with their spend. Businesses are pushing to become more efficient because costs are rising. So oftentimes, the ability to respond with what we call budgetary slack in our profession, that's becoming more of a challenge as we, especially in a post-COVID environment. So we really need to be able to think through alternative ways that we can achieve our goals if our plan or baseline plan doesn't go as we expected. And so that may require us to, if we're talking in terms of personal planning, reevaluate whether we need to have another go at our expense plan and be more strict or reinvest in a specific area. Do you want to reevaluate the goals that you had set for the year? Were they a little bit lofty? Do you need to recalibrate your entire plan and then go through that 5-step loop again? Do you need to look within your business and understand other things that may be going very well, or evaluate the things that may be going well, and you may have to make tough decisions to forego one thing that would have been a like to have in order to drive an investment in something that's more critical and get you closer to your goal. So budgeting, post-setting the budget, involves a lot of measuring and monitoring and evaluating to ensure that you don't just set the budget and walk away.
Flexibility.
Correct. You set the budget, you measure against what you're actually doing against the activities that you're planning. You want to see if they're going to yield the outcomes that you did plan. If they're not, you probably need to reevaluate how you take actions to achieve your budget. If there is an emergency that happens or an unanticipated event that derails you from the broader plan, then you need to reevaluate your overall plan or look within your current pool of resources to find a way to offset that to keep you on track. So setting the initial budget is one step, but most critical is ensuring that there are metrics that you set, key measurable KPIs, well, a lot of businesses call them, but things that are measurable to ensure that you're moving toward your goals.
Now, you spoke about contingency planning, and often we hear this word, but how does somebody actually go about setting aside this, rainy day fund, this emergency fund in the budget? What space is there for that actually to be achieved?
Now, that's a tough one. Tough in this environment and in this climate. If you're a person planning for your home, right, and budgeting on an individual basis, you may want to, in addition to all of your goals that you've set and the activities that you've defined and the things that the resources that you've quantified in order to get there, you may want to think about building in a little bit of wiggle room that may look like setting aside X amount of dollars that are not allocated, that are unallocated, so that you just have that there as a buffer should your baseline plan not pan out as you expected. So that's one way of doing it. Now, there may not be necessarily always the ability to do so. So in the wake of that, you really then need to go back to what I mentioned earlier. It's re-evaluating then what's most important within your plan, because you don't have the contingency buffer or the slack to be able to do so, and then reprioritize. And so your contingency plan may look like reevaluating your entire plan
to make sure that you have that room.
Correct.
Because it has to be part.
Correct. But I would always encourage, if there's the ability to do so on an individual or organizational basis, to have an alternative plan. So run separate scenarios. Here's my baseline plan, and here's what it's meant to accomplish. Here's what is going to happen if I am ahead. I want to accelerate some activities and exceed my budget, but here's what's going to happen. Here's my alternative plan. So scenario A, which is your baseline, and then scenarios B and C may look like one that may guide you to overachieving your plan, and one that may look like you not necessarily achieving your plan, but having something, an action plan to respond to that. So going into the planning process is not being too idealistic, being flexible and building alternative plans. In the sense of a large corporation, a contingency may look like equipment failure and having to reinvest in new equipment. The concept is the same. What do we need to forego in order to be able to keep us running, to keep us toward our plan, to keep us at steady state? What can we put off until the following year? And then you take those lessons, of course, and then you build them into your next plan. So if you are really doing this continuously, you will find that you're getting better and better at it, because you understand your business better. You have more intuition from lessons of things that have not necessarily gone as planned. but you plan in the future with all of those things in mind. And you'll find over time, if it's something that you're consistent with, that your budget becomes a more robust plan, and it really can stand up to anything that's thrown at you individually or anything that's thrown as your business.
So it's really about taking a look at what you want to achieve as an individual, as a business, and then realistically planning out those activities to achieve it, and then building in flexibility to make sure that your plan is dynamic and it can, change according to the circumstances.
Yeah, that's it. You see, Karina, the planning expert.
Adélé, thank you for speaking with us on ECCB Connects.
Thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure, and I look forward to chatting with you in the future.
And now for this week's financial tip.
Develop a budget. A good place to start when setting your financial goals is to look at your budget. What is a budget, you may ask? Simply put, a budget is a plan that shows you how you're going to allocate your weekly or monthly income to meet your financial obligations and have money set aside for savings. The budget gives you a clear picture on what you have to spend and how it is to be spent.
That's it for this episode of ECCB Connects. Today we discussed budgeting as a plan to help you achieve your financial goals and objectives. Flexibility is a key consideration in budgeting, therefore you must continuously assess and evaluate your budget to ensure that you're achieving your goals. You should also build in a contingency or emergency fund to help account for unforeseen circumstances or emergencies. Thanks for watching, and be sure to join us next week when we bring you another episode and share with you who we are, what we do, and how we serve you.